All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the first segment of the Tactician Honor Mode No Lone Wolf solo playthrough. There's a few restrictions I'm placing on myself, some self-imposed. I'm not going to be using Thane. I'm going to be using Sebille as my main character and my only character. I'm not going to be using Lone Wolf. That is the primary challenge of the build. I will not be using any sort of fleeing mechanics, meaning I'm not going to start combat and then exit combat, or start combat, kill a few enemies, run away from combat, reset my cooldowns, and come back. Once I engage in combat, I'm dead or they are dead. I'm also not going to be using any sort of reloads, so the only time I'm going to be reloading the game is when I end a playthrough for the day. I will save it, and the next day I will reload it to continue. So it's basically a one and done, as a true Iron Man, hardcore, whatever you want to call it, type playthrough. I have completed this playthrough previously when the game first came out about a year and a half ago. I finished this entire playthrough with a solo Lone Wolf build. Same build I'm going to be doing here is a two-hand warfare build, making use of magic skills simply for buffs and debuffs. Although debuffs very rarely. So the starter build here is 12 strength, 12 wits, 1 polymorph, 1 warfare, and starting skills are crippling strike, battering ram, and battle stomp. And the talent is executioner. Executioner is mandatory. I'll cover the build in depth at a later date, but this is just an introduction right now. This is my first time playing this through on the definitive edition. Previous playthrough is done in classic. So the tutorial is a new portion of this, so I'm going to cover this very briefly. I'm going to kind of speed through this. It's not a whole lot to it. Mainly you're just doing it to grab a couple extra potions and a dagger. The dagger does come into play. You're going to see it in this little small segment as well. So the first thing to loot here are these 2 shelves in this room. They will generally you'll find at least 1 potion in there. And then this barrel that I'm going to use on this second switch will have a dagger inside of it. This dagger is actually useful. It'll allow you to equip it, and you'll get the Sucker Punch ability. As long as you don't have an offhand equipped, you'll have a 100% chance to hit a skill that knocks the target down if it has 0 fist armor. There's also an electrical discharge scroll I just looted there off that table. But other than that, I'm just going to kill this guard, get his key, and continue on into the next room. You can actually kill this guard without any items equipped. You can just punch him to death, no skills. As long as you don't miss too often, he'll die. So nothing special here. Just go ahead and kill him, loot the key, and move on. A couple other things to discuss. The build is primarily going to be is warfare based. I'm not going to be using any sort of necro skills later in the game, or even source abilities as well. I don't think there's any warfare or source ability that's even useful, other than the Sebille's break the shackles source ability that she starts with. So 2 healing potions there to loot, and these 3 shelves to loot on the way in. Destroy the door. We'll continue on to the second deck. I will carry on. Or I will kind of, as we go through, I'll stop at certain portions of later playthroughs and discuss some tactics and how to accomplish the most efficient way of getting through fights. But for now, we're just going to be pretty straightforward. It's an explanation of the tutorial and how to get the maximum experience. One of the primary methods of getting through this is min-maxing the experience to the, almost going overboard with it. So in this segment of the boat, we're going to take advantage of Windega, which there's plenty of videos covering this. This is nothing new, but this is simply my way of doing it. I've actually never watched a video of someone else doing it, so I don't know if there's a slightly better way or if this is unique. But I do make sure you loot that body part that I just looted in the other room. If you are an elf, you can eat it to gain the adrenaline skill for free. Grab a bedroll on the way in here as well. And I'm not looting anything, as you'll notice, but when you get to this door, open the door, and then we're going to return back to those Manisters from earlier. But again, I'm not going to be looting much. I'm just looting the kind of what's necessary. If you loot everything, and it's okay to, it's just a waste of time, in all honesty. So I'm going to attack this guy twice. Then I'm going to eat that body part that I looted to put the regen effect up on me, since I gain a positive effect from that as an elf. And I'm going to attack him a third time to enter combat. If you have a ranged ability, go ahead and use that so you don't take this attack of opportunity, but it's not a big deal. So here you'll notice that there's a dog and a Magister walking down to the upper right portion of the screen. That's very important. If they are not walking down in that direction, you need to wait until they do. If you engage, if you walk up here and they get into range of you and they are on the upper part of the stairs, here you'll see them. That's one of them here, and there's the dog. If they are on the top of the stairs, you're going to take attacks of opportunity going past them and potentially dying. They might potentially target you as well. By letting them walk down, they're going to always target those NPCs at the bottom. While this sequencing is going on, all the turns are going through, go ahead and set up your hotbars however you like. And now it's kind of a waiting game here. So I'll explain briefly the goal. Our goal now is to get into that room, that door that we opened up, trigger Wendigo. She's the NPC in there that will end up AoEing everything down for you, and then exiting the room in the same turn so that you don't get killed by the Magisters and they target her instead of you. So our next move action is going to be just slightly behind Fane, and you'll see I'm going to come up like 1 or 2 steps shy of my maximum movement, but that's intended. I want to make sure I keep Fane or any NPC between myself and that Magister. The Magister Pain is his name, the one standing by the door. And you'll see it in action here. Got one more turn. Just have to have Beast go. Beast will generally heal with Petrifying Touch the dog. So the dogs usually CC'd anyway, no matter how you do it. But it's like he didn't do it this time. Maybe he did it previously. I think the dog actually is petrified. So this move action will be just shy of Fane, as I said. So you'll see here I could go further, but I'm going to cut it short just by a little bit so that Fane stays between me and the Magister by the door. This gives me the highest chance of that Magister shooting Fane instead of myself. I want to take no damage, ideally. Also, that's why I put up that regen effect, because I knew I was going to take 1 attack of opportunity when I initiated combat here. So I've kind of regained that health. 99% of the time, you're going to get through this safely. Occasionally, like this, I'm going to have to use a healing potion. So this is kind of worst case scenario. And you'll see that in a second. These NPCs that are helping you occasionally will nuke you. So here you can see the Magisters shooting Fane instead of me. Very helpful. And when it gets to the end turn here, I think it's Beast actually is going to end up casting Fireball on top of that Magister and on top of me. So because of that, and it usually doesn't happen like that, but because of that I'm going to end up having to use 1 healing potion. It's fine. There's also one benefit to Sebille being able to gain that 1 AP whenever she wants. It's actually going to give me just enough actions to end the encounter safely and still drink that last, or drink the healing potion on my last action, or actually before I run back, but we'll talk about that in a second. So we're almost through this turn, and then once we get into the room and Wendigo activates, the fight's pretty much over. You still have to wait for them to go. As long as you don't stay in the room, they won't target you. So here comes Beast. And again, this is rare that he actually nukes you as well, but he actually shoots me directly in order to damage the Magister. So you can see I'm really low HP, but I have enough. So I'm going to cast Flesh Sacrifice to go to 5 AP. I'm going to need 2 AP to get into the room. I'm going to need 2 AP to get back out, and that 5th AP is going to be a healing potion. You can probably do it with less, but here. So you can see in the top now Wendigo has been added to the turn order, and so the other 3 Magisters. There is that healing potion, and then we move back around the corner out of line of sight so that they don't hit me. And again, it's like a waiting game here. Very rarely will a Magister actually run up now and attack you. The female back there that hasn't gone yet sometimes runs all the way up to you in the corner and will hit you 1 time for about 9 damage. So this is a very safe play, like I said. Very rarely will you end up failing this, as long as this is that female Magister I was talking about. Sometimes she'll just run past Los and attack you. This maximizes the experience you get on this portion of the game. This kills every Magister on this level of the boat. It's a total of 975 experience plus 400 for Wendigo completing her mini quest, and you'll see that in this shortly here. So we're almost to the end of the round, and one of the Magisters in the room with Wendigo is going to go, and then Wendigo will immediately end this combat. So the boat's very straightforward. There's plenty of walkthroughs or tutorials on how to do this the most efficiently. This is not necessarily unique. As I I said, I've not watched anyone else's, so maybe you can gain something from this, maybe you can't, but at least I want to show this as a full single segment run. So here's my Dago. And there's the 875. I get there's 100 from a previous kill, so the total of 975 on that, and 400 now for this mini quest completion. The only thing I'm going to loot here, if you want to loot everything, go ahead. I choose not to, just because there's really no gain. But this chest, you may at least grab a weapon out of the chest. You don't need to grab all of them if you don't want to, but at least grab a weapon and head into second deck. So go ahead and equip the weapon. I always go into this room first and grab the gold cup. This gold cup is just worth a little extra gold. This is, you don't need to do this. This is out of habit. I do that. It's kind of my OCD, dropping that water barrel on the fire to put it out. And make sure you grab this mug of beer on this desk. It's very important. It's for a quest when you get to Fort Joy. Kill or open the door, depending on if you have the key or not. And we're going to kill the 2 magisters in the next room. There used to be an experience reward for passing the persuasion check. There no longer is, so don't even worry about that. And go ahead and delay your turn. So right now, I think I'm talking to my wife or my dogs walked in and wanted attention. So real quick here, generally when you have a situation like this where the enemy is an entire screen away from you, you're always going to want to delay turn first, unless you have ranged abilities, of course. But as a melee, it's better to let them act first if you're not going to be CC'd. So I know these two do not have any sort of CC, so I'm going to delay my action so that I'll get back-to-back rounds and let them spend their AP walking to me. Otherwise, I would have to spend probably 3 AP just to get to them this round, and then they would deal a bunch of damage to me. So they're going to walk to me. Next round, I'm going to flush sacrifice to gain 1 AP, because it's going to take me 3 AP to get 1 attack off. It'll be a knockdown and then 2 kills. This fight is very straightforward. Very rarely, and I mean very rarely, the dog will also aggro you along with these two. I've had it happen, I think, 1 time. So it's very rare. If it happens, you can still kill them. It might take a potion or 2, but just be careful and be aware. It's not normal. After this, 1 bookcase here is a red scroll. I only loot this because I want to be able to sell this possibly at level 2 for another extra gold to buy a ring. And go ahead and loot everything else. Now if you want to skip this dog, you can. The dog is not necessary to kill. It's only worth 25 experience and is slightly dangerous. If you miss one of your CCs or you miss just even an attack, it's going to get enough actions to potentially kill you. And I am going to miss. So we talked earlier about on the tutorial that dagger that I picked up, and you're going to see it come into play. By the way, you should also use all in as your opening skill when you attack to start combat. I did an auto attack, so I ended up having to use all in instead to get enough damage so that the knockdown will actually go through his Fizz armor. Otherwise, I would not be able to knock him down this round. So that one hits. This knockdown does miss. And as a result, I should have actually, when you use battering ram on 1 target, make sure you battering ram just a little bit beyond their melee range. That way you can cripple them and they will fail their attack. So here he gets 1 attack, and now I'm going to have to cripple and move away. If I cripple him and stay where I'm at, he will get 2 attacks and kill me. So I'm going to have to cripple him and then move away. Cripple is a pseudo CC. It's not a true CC, but for a melee unit, you can cripple them and get out of that range, and their next action will essentially they'll just stand there and do nothing. You need to know what their actions are. So now I can't kill him this round, so I'm going to equip that dagger I talked about and move up 1 step closer to him and use Sucker Punch. Sucker Punch cannot miss, and it will always knock them down as long as they have 0 Fizz armor. I'm going to re-equip the 2-hander and end turn, and now Battle Stomp is back up. So Battle Stomp and attack. Battle Stomp is just a safe play. If it lands and then you miss your second attack, you're still okay. So, again, that dog is not necessarily worth the effort to kill. It's only worth 25 XP. And I'm looting some things here that you really don't need to. I talked about this earlier, but these things are in my way as I'm going towards here. So grab this key off of that Magister's body, and then we're going to grab 1 Death Fog Barrel. I do use 1 Death Fog Barrel on this playthrough. On the gate in Act 1 in order to get the 2-hander off of Dahlia. We'll talk about that in the next segment, but make sure when you're doing this you have telekinesis, and when you hit the end on the dialogue there, that before the door even opens, start clicking that barrel. If you wait for the door to open and click the barrel, you will fail and probably die. If you are overweight, go ahead and use your bedroll to get the rested buff to gain 1 strength, and that should put you safely over the necessary cap. If you're a mage build with only 10 strength, you might have to drop some items. It's okay. It's just an annoying feature. Here, if you are a mage build, make sure you do not delay turn. Go ahead and nuke him right now. If you're a melee build, delay turn is your first action. Let them walk to you. If you, as a mage, if you do this, you're going to end up probably AoEing yourself to try and kill them, which is not good. So now I have back-to-back rounds here. I'm going to use a sequence of knockdowns and proc Executioner once or twice, and you're good to go. So there is 1 miss there, so I'm going to cripple him. Cripple is, again, a pseudo CC. So because I'm a little further away from him, I'm out of his melee range when he is crippled, and he'll be unable to hit me on his turn. It's very, you got to be very careful with the radius of that. So sometimes you'll cripple him and they'll still be in range. It's kind of annoying. I think in classic version it was a little bit better. I think they've adjusted cripple for definitive edition, but it still works. Fireball scroll off of the dead Magister there. I don't loot anything else. There are some other items you can loot up on the main deck where the captain's at, but they're not worth looting, honestly. It just wastes your time. You want to get through this as fast as possible. Act 1 should take about... Act 1 generally takes me about 8 hours with a single character without Lone Wolf, and that's with a lot of running around, checking items, checking vendors. So on this fight, just go ahead and knock them down and end turn. This is about as easy as it gets. There's nothing really to do here. The NPCs will pretty much do this fight for you, so I just focus my abilities on CCing in them, and you will hit level 2 during this fight as long as you did everything else correct. So again, this playthrough is focused around a single character without Lone Wolf, without Glass Cannon, and there are a lot of fights that can kill you. So if you want to attempt this playthrough like this, I suggest starting on Tactician, or go through the game with a solo Lone Wolf first, just so you know the encounters. But it's very important to kind of know all the abilities, close to all the abilities that can hit you in each encounter, to know who has what CC, know when you're gonna face things like Cursed Ice, and prepare accordingly for every fight. So, but again, this tutorial section is very basic. If you have any questions, go ahead and leave them in the comments. Any suggestions, leave them in the comments. There's level 2. And I am going to link my Twitch profile. I do stream this stuff live for the most part. And so here, I'm going to save this skill point and the stat points I'll allocate, but you want to save these skill points because you want to see what rings you get at level 2 and 3 before you allocate them. Magister Siwan, if you talk to her, you will not get any experience, and it will end the boat sequence. If you just walk up and attack her, she is worth 100 experience, so make sure you do this. It's 100 extra, every little bit counts. And overall, once you now exit the boat and get the last 800 up here, you're going to have a total of 3,000 experience from the boat and level 2. And that's pretty much it. I'll be uploading the second segment. I'm going to upload each video per level. So this is level 1 to 2. Next one will be level 2 to 3. Thanks for watching, guys. Have a good night. And if you're interested in seeing more, stay tuned. Thank you.